Welcome to the Genius Network Experience livecast preview video. This is a sneak peek into some of the powerful wisdom that you will have access to just by participating in the upcoming free livecast. Please grab yourself something to take notes with. Close your office door, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, because the next 19 minutes will give you several elegant ideas and proven methodologies to build and grow your business. Are you ready? So here is Joe Polish interviewing highly successful entrepreneur John Paul DeJoria. He is the founder of John Paul Mitchell Systems and the world's ultra premium tequila, Patron. They are live on stage, and this is about how to be a successful entrepreneur.
How did you learn how to be a successful entrepreneur?
Well, I don't think it's learning how to be a successful entrepreneur. I think it's just being able to do something and know that you have that ability to do it. You see, the human race has the ability, all of you do, to do 10, 50 times what you're doing right now. Well, if you realize you have that ability, as you go along, you find obstacles, but you overcome them or you go right around them, like water might go around them a little bit. And that's really it. You look at what assets you have. It's a little bit like selling, whether it's a tangible product or a service. It's got to be the very best, and you put forth its features and then how it benefits the customer. Well, with yourself personally, you put forth the features you have, how these features might benefit, and if you have a product, and I'd love to share this with everybody, don't ever go into the selling business. Whether you have the greatest service in the world or the greatest product, never go in there to sell your product. Go in there to be in the reorder business. That's got to be your mentality.
That's true.
Yeah, because if you're going to sell it, that's where your focus is. If you want to be in the reorder business, even if it's a one-time product, whatever you do is so good that they'll want to tell somebody else or reorder themselves.
Right.
So that kind of helps along the way if you have that mentality. And I think selling, oh God, whether it was flower pots when I was a little kid or newspapers, or in my early 20s, encyclopedias, Collier's Encyclopedia, door to door. You knock on 50 doors and they could be closed in your face. You had to learn how to be just as enthusiastic on door number 51 or 105 as you were in the first door. Now that's difficult to do, but you learn how to do that. I believe the average encyclopedia salesman, commission only, door to door, was 3 days. That's how long they lasted. Wow. I lasted about 3.5 years, but I learned to kind of overcome rejection and be prepared for it. If you're prepared, and we'll cover that a little later too, I saw your questions. If you're prepared for rejection before you start anything, whether it's your personal life, whether it's a business life, when you're prepared for it, it doesn't shock you when you come along and all of a sudden see rejection in your face. You see, well, I was prepared for that, but I'm going to continue on just as enthusiastic and as confident as I was when I started, and that's not easy.
So take a moment now and just write down your biggest takeaway from John Paul. As a successful person, what are your features that you bring to your business, and how do those features benefit your team and your clients and your business and community overall? Think about how you can possibly eliminate the idea of just having transactions with customers and instead be in the reorder business. And lastly, how are you being prepared as an entrepreneur? How are you preparing? Now, let's move on to our next highlight. This is Lisa Sasevich from her presentation, Boost Sales Using Irresistible Offers.
An offer is made up of two parts, very simply put. There is the transformation that you provide, that unique outcome that is uniquely yours to bring to the market, combined with the way you provide it. We call that your service delivery. For example, Joe's service delivery is we pick 3 two-day weekends out of the year. That's how he provides the unique transformation of incredible networking and incredible marketing. You guys get it? So here's the trick with offers. Think of it as the 90-10 rule, yet another application for the 90-10 rule. You always want to focus 90% of your energy, your copy, your words, your enthusiasm on the outcome or the transformation that you provide, and only 10% on the service delivery, on how you provide it. One of the biggest mistakes that we make, we're heart-centered, we put so much love into everything we do, is we swap those. We get into our offer, and the next thing you know, we're talking about the 6 50-minute calls and the 10 in-office appointments and the 3-day seminar that goes from 8 a.m. to midnight and 27 hours of learning. Used to work, but people are so overwhelmed these days that we're actually shooting ourselves in the foot with that method. So if you just swap the ratio, 90-10, 90 on the service delivery, 90 on your outcome or transformation, 10% on the service delivery, I could step off the stage and you would all have a big increase in sales conversion right now, I promise. Here's an easy way to remember it. They are buying the destination, not the plane. So stop selling the plane. And I know you love the plane, it took a lot of hours to build it, but they don't care. They want the destination.
So are you focusing 90% on what you provide versus the how you provide it? I mean, think about the offers and the marketing messages that you've put out over the last 6 months. Is it selling the plane or is it selling the destination? Schedule some time right now. Go to your calendar, schedule some time with your marketing manager, your copywriter, just to review the current marketing message that you have out there. And possibly you'll want to tweak them where needed so that you are focusing 90% of your message on the destination that your clients really want from you. Okay, cool. Next, here is Dan Sullivan, founder of Strategic Coach and one of the greatest entrepreneurial thinkers on the planet today. And he's sharing with you his latest methodology, Changing Your Game.
What the first outer circle stands for, we call this A, and the second one we call B, and the third one we call C. And A stands for everything in your business right now, all the time that you're spending that really irritates you. So this is the irritating part of your life right now. How many of you can relate to that right away? Okay, yeah, and it's very important to actually tell the truth about what irritates you, because if you don't tell the truth about what irritates you, you can't actually do something else. The second part of what your life is right now is B, and this is the okay part of your business. And usually the okay part of your business is related to cash flow. Okay, how many of you are okay with cash flow? Okay, it's not irritating, but it's also, some of it is not very exciting. Okay? And then the third part, C, really represents the part of your business where you're spending your time and your action with that is really fascinating and motivating. Okay? So you're very fascinated with this. It's new, it's got a lot of promise, and it's very motivating because it looks like it's going to be really big. It's going to be a lot better. Okay? How many of you have all three of those right now? You have irritating, you have okay. Good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you actually do a little list of the 3 most irritating things right now, okay? And people can be irritating. So how many of you have people who are irritating? Yeah. Situations. How many of you have situations that are irritating? Right? And how many of you just have activities or tasks that are very irritating? Maybe obligations. How many of you have obligations that are irritating? Yeah. So anyway, it's just your truth, and I'm just going to give you an example of 3 of mine. And one of mine is spending any time with entrepreneurs who don't have any ambition. Okay, it seems like a wasted effort to me. How many of you realize that being an entrepreneur is a life sentence? How many of you know you can't go back? How many of you know they won't have you? How many of you wouldn't hire you? Okay, so that's really, so I tell people it's a life sentence. There's no out. And so don't do your life sentence in an irritating fashion. Actually get rid of the irritations. That's why you became an entrepreneur in the first place. What I want you to do is say what percentage out of 100% of your time right now, what percentage are you spending in A? What amount of time are you spending in B? And what amount of time are you spending in C? And these are my real numbers for this quarter, okay? And what I want to tell you is no matter how good you get at getting rid of A's, next quarter there will be a new bunch of A's that irritate you. Some of the OKs right now will become irritating next quarter, okay? And the reason is because as you get more and more into fascinating and motivating, okay things become irritating. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So what I want you to do now is, this is where you are right now, and what I want you to do is say, what percentage of your time, next time, in 90 days, do you want to be spending on A? And for me, it's 0. Okay? Those activities. What percentage of those activities do I want to be spending? And I want to drop it down to 10. So I've gotten rid of 10, I've gotten rid of 10% there, and so next time I want to be spending 90% of my time on this.
Elegant, simple, but can you see how the process will keep you growing and creating a happier and more successful business and life? I hope you wrote some things down for your 3 areas. What's irritating and frustrating? What's just okay? And finally, what is that area and those things that are fascinating and motivating for you right now? If you didn't write that down, go ahead, press pause, take a moment and do that right now. Awesome, thanks. Next, this is an excerpt from Victoria Labalme's presentation, Rock the Room.
If we're in this time crunch, how do we reconnect with what really matters? How do we communicate in a fast-paced world? And so I'd like to share with you a strategy I've given my top clients, which has not only changed their perception of what they're doing in their business, but their perception of who they really are. And it's the foundation before you even plan your communications. So I'm going to ask you a question here, and I'm going to ask you to close your notebooks, your computers, put down your pens, and trust the first response that comes to you. So in other words, don't second-guess your first idea. And the question is this: if you were on a desert island and you were dying, but there was a young person there with you, someone whom you cared deeply about, and you could only give that young person one piece of advice before you died about life and how to live it, what would that piece of advice be? And whatever just flew into your head is the starting of the thread of what I call your through line, the driving force behind your life. For some of you, it might be, life is a game, enjoy it. For others, it might be, follow your dreams. Some might say, don't be afraid to be yourself, or be kind. Some business-minded friends of mine have said, find someone who is the success that you want and model it. Whatever it was that you said is what you believe in the end really matters in life. And so my challenge to you is, how do you take your business and make it an expression of that through line that drives you through your life so that you're not on the conveyor belt, but you understand that all these details, these duties, these data, these deadlines add up to something, what I call your noble intent, that you're fusing that constantly. Because when we don't, our day does feel frazzled. So when you reconnect with what really matters and you start positioning and packaging and creating your communication materials to support that noble intent, it takes you from a transactional entrepreneur, not just to transformational, but to transcendent.
Take a moment now. Just visualize what your day would look like, what it would feel like if you were being and living your through line all day. And just brainstorm for a moment. What are some ways that you could fuse your through line and your noble intent into your business, into the culture in your business? Great. Next up, these are some quick, powerful insights from best-selling author Cameron Herold and from the legendary business author Harvey Mackay.
Remember contractors? Anybody here ever built a house or done a renovation? Put your hand up. Almost all of you. So when you build a home, you're really the CEO of the project. You have an idea of what the finished project looks like. You can see it, you can feel it, but you have no idea how to do the electrical, how to do the plumbing, how to do the wiring, how to do the drywall, but you know what it needs to look like, and you have no idea how to manage the sub-trades. So what you do is you give photos and pictures and sketches and things out of magazines, and you hand them to the contractor. Those are your visions of what the home should look like in the future. The contractor then takes those and goes away for a couple of weeks and come back with the blueprints or the plans to make your vision happen. And then they hand the plans to the employees, and the employees can literally read your mind. Well, for most of us, when we have a vision statement as one sentence, it doesn't describe your whole company. So the idea with a vivid vision is something much different. We see the future, we have all this detail, and we walk around saying that we're highly intuitive. We are no more intuitive than our employees. But if we're the only ones that can see the movie, how can they possibly see what we can see?
My definition of success, okay, having a predetermined plan, successfully carrying it out over a long period of time, and having a damn good time doing it. Damn good time doing it. So idea number one, okay, dig your well before you're thirsty. My father headed the Associated Press for 35 years. Jack McKay got a hold of me age 18. Harvey, every person you meet the rest of your life goes in the Rolodex file, computer today, all right? Then a little bit about them on the back of the card. Now here's the key. Find a creative way to keep in touch. And that's what I've been doing ever since I was age 18 years old. I'd like to talk about publishing for a moment. Back in the late 80s, I have a manuscript, Swim with the Sharks, Out Being Eaten Alive, William Moore and Company, one of the biggest 7 in the world at the time publishing, had 3 meetings with them. Now remember, a first-time unknown author, which I am, okay, from the flyover state of Minnesota, wants to get published. Tom Peters, In Search of Excellence, 10,000 books, unknown first-time author. Ken Blanchard, 7,500 books, unknown, okay, at the time. I got the CEO, got the president, VP National Sales. 45 minutes into the meeting, I asked for the order. I said, I'd like you to seriously consider printing 100,000 hardcover copies of Swim with the Sharks. On the 37th floor, they told me to jump. VP National Sales closes his books. Thank you very much, Mr. McKay. Obviously, you're not going to get together. And he screams at me, who are you? Come in here and ask for 100,000. We never print more than 10,000. First time, unknown author. I brought in 2 humongous briefcases into the conference room, boardroom, then took out, put them on the table, 2 huge Rolodex files, 6,500 names since my father got a hold of me, age 18. Started to go through the list. Here's Pillsbury, 18,000 employees. Know a little bit about them, their customers. Maybe they'll read the book, maybe they'll pass it around. Here's General Mills, 23,000 employees. Maybe they'll read the book, pass it along. Here's Honeywell, 30,000 employees. Go to the next Rolodex file. Do business in 5 companies. There's France, Germany, Spain. All right, maybe it'll be an international bestseller. 3 weeks and 3 meetings later, they published 100,000 hardcover copies of Swim with the Sharks. Did I know when I was 18 that I'd be writing a book? Do any of you know? Okay, any of you know where your contacts are going to come from? No, so we dig our well before we're thirsty. Next 3, 5, 7, 10, 12, 15 years, you have no idea. And it's nice to hear speakers, but trust me, as long as you live, person on your left, person on your right, person in front of you, person behind you, way more important over a period of a lifetime. Keep that antenna up without question.
So how about you? Are you clear on your vision? Are you clear on how to share it in such a way that it makes it easy for others to help you build it, and then for them to be able to tell your story too? Are you actually planning and fighting the fight right now? And are you still having fun while you're doing it? And like Harvey said, are you keeping your antenna up for what's next? And you looking for that strategic byproduct? And are you learning how to be a genius networker? These and more are some of the strategies that we are going to go deeper with in the upcoming livecast, and I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks.